Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think it's time we talk about Law Daddy. Alright, let's start it off with 1v1s, because let's be honest, our boy be struggling. It's no secret that Lawbringer has 0 openers, nothing that can really, or feels really like it can make an opponent move. Like, the only people who really move from the forward dash unblockable are people who don't know that you can dodge it off a reaction. Other than that, you're staring at people. And staring at people. Now, obviously, I will commend them for giving the shove a change. It did need it, but even with that, you're just starting your offense. You get a light, whereas, I mean, think about George Gander. He gets a full heavy hammer slam from his unblockable, which he will be getting soon. And he's not the only one. There are a lot of people who get a lot more than just a light from their unblockable. Now, where does this leave our boy? Obviously in a little bit of a precarious position because he can only light parry to get his offense started, which, I mean, is good, but that's, anyone can do that. If you're good at light parrying, you can succeed with any person in the game. So that's not anything that's special to Lawbringer. And unfortunately for me, I'm not Faram, so I can't just light parry whenever I want to. Now, is he all bad? Of course not. You know, there are times when things work, when you parry something and you get someone to bite and it just feels really good, yes. But for the most part, it's extremely hard to get something done. When it does work, yeah, it feels great. It feels amazing even, because you know that you earned it. Watching someone try to guess whether or not you're going to let that thing fly or feint, guard break them, and destroy half of their face anyways is, quite frankly, one of the best feelings you can get in For Honor. But it's inconsistent. Extremely inconsistent. Way too inconsistent for me to call it his playstyle. As I said before, anyone can do this. Anyone with an unblockable can feint it into a guard break. So you can't really call it his playstyle. And I guess while we're talking about playstyles, now's a good time to get into Dominion. He doesn't struggle completely in Dominion. Obviously, he can do good things when he's around his teammates. But Dominion has 1v1 scenarios, and in those scenarios, he struggles just like he does in 1v1 any other time. When it comes to ganking, he almost has none. His flip is an absolute joke, and all it does is feed revenge. He does have some target swapping stuff, which is pretty cool, that he can do that works out pretty well, but it's, again, inconsistent. He does not have any unblockables that he can get to without going into a full chain. And when it comes to anti-ganking, well, what anti-ganking? He has to fully rely on his zone, which does almost no damage and doesn't have any crowd control whatsoever. His bomb change being so detrimental to his full playstyle, I think, was a testament to how bad he actually was. You know, they took it away and it was like he was just completely useless after that point, because he was mostly for gaining points, let's be honest. And you could no longer do that faster than anybody else. The shove on block, I think we can all agree, needed to be changed, but it needed something to replace it, something to open people up that was unique to Lawbringer. They took it away and completely gutted him, but didn't ever replace it, as though the shove would suffice. But then they gave everyone, pretty much everyone, side dodge attacks that, I mean, yeah, some of them he can still get the shove off and parry, but for the most part, he can't. And you would think, since they started giving everyone new moves and making everyone feel better, that they would do the same thing with Law Daddy, but he remains untouched. His moveset is dated and old and completely out of touch with the rest of the cast and how they feel. Everyone feels like they flow together and their moves kind of, you know, go with one another and they can continue their offense, whereas Law Daddy, he feels like he looks clunky, a big tin can, if you would. Even when he's moving sometimes, he feels clunky, which would be fine if he had something to compensate it, like Shigoki does with easy to access unblockables or even hyper armor, but he doesn't have any of that. And, whoa, do not get me started on the hyper armor. How is one of the most armored person canonically in the game having no hyper armor? I mean, he doesn't have it on his zone. He doesn't have it on his heavies, on his finisher heavies. Nothing. No reposts. I mean, literally no hyper armor. I struggle to think where he has. If I don't think he has hyper armor on any of his moves, whereas people who have absolutely no armor on them and can do whatever they want have hyper armor on their moves. It makes no sense to me. And I think this is a consensus we have all come to as a community, which makes it even more odd that he's received no changes, considering how well met in the community Law Daddy is. You know, it's just interesting, and it's not that I'm saying he's absolute ass and you can't ever get anything done with them, because obviously, you know, anyone can be viable in the game, but again, it just takes way too much. So that being said, I guess that brings me to my next point. What would I like to see changed about Law Daddy? Well, first of all, his strings. I think that's the biggest thing that needs to be changed. Obviously, his attack strings are ass. Give him something, some unblockables that are easier to access. Give him lights that aren't so easily parryable, except for the top light, which becomes easily parryable because it's the only one that's useful. His moves don't flow, as I said before, like the rest of the cast, and it just doesn't feel like you can continue your offense comfortably. It feels like there's a certain point where you've reached your limit and you kind of now have to stop. Now, the changes to the unblockable were obviously a push in the right direction, but it's not enough. We need more. The 500 milliseconds I think it has been changed to is just not going to be enough for it to be like, oh, this is a consistent opener. Not to mention, it's not a gank tool. All it does is feed revenge. The next thing I think I'd like to see changed are some of the feats. Juggernaut is absolutely trash and useless. And there are, I think, one or two other feats that are absolutely trash and useless that he has. It'd be nice to see Law Daddy with some other feats, some feats of his own, unique ones. Even some of the other cast people with some unique feats would be nice. And to that point, I feel like a lot of people who didn't need reworks or changes are continuing to get them. Gladdy Daddy, for one, he just got changed again, and he's been one of the best characters in the game with one of the best zones in the game. And, you know, I think most of his changes were nerfs, but I digress. That's, you know, still. I do think that Law Daddy is going to be the next up on the changing block. I really do hope that that is the case, but we shall see, considering he's one of the only ones that hasn't been changed. Him and Warlord. Come on, please, Warlord. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to leave you with some uncommentated footage of another Dominion I did with Law Daddy here. Anyways, let me know your comments on Law Daddy. I'd love to hear what you think, if you think he needs any changes or anything like that, or if you think he's perfectly fine the way he is. Also, please feel free to hit that like button. This has been J Gaming. We will see you in the next one. Y'all be blessed, and I'm out.
Lawbringer! lost Zone C.
接招吧！
Ad mortem Inimigus!
接招吧！刀剑无眼。
You captured Zone C. Ad mortem Inimigus! You captured Zone A. The enemy has been put down. The enemy line is faltering.
刀剑无眼。 接招吧！
Enemy team is breaking. Ad mortem Inimigus! Victory!